Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning, having a fantastic start to your day, staying warm. I know it's still very cold across areas of the country. Hope you folks have been having a great week out there so far. Here to give you some updated information about what's going to happen weather-wise over the next 24 hours, but I can tell you a good chunk of this video will go into discussing this next winter storm threat that will begin to unfold. Really, it's kind of already began if you count all the pieces to the puzzle of this storm system, but it will really begin to crank up over the next several hours into the next day or so. We will begin to see some freezing rain across areas of the country here in the next couple hours. It's snowing across areas of the country, very light. So we're going to break it down for you folks, get very, very detailed one last time for you folks. Now, tonight we will discuss it again. But as far as this system as a whole, we're going to get detailed once again here in this video and talk about who's going to see what as far as accumulations. We'll zoom into certain areas. Hopefully I don't miss your area, but chances are I'll miss somebody. But we'll break it down for you guys. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can do that. And so others can do so too. Let's get rocking and rolling. So we do have some light snow falling across areas of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. I think some of this is not reaching the ground, but let me know what you're seeing across, Missouri, Illinois, even Western Kentucky, and then the Ohio Valley, and even into southern sections of Michigan. There is definitely some snow falling out there, but I don't think it's as widespread as what the radar is showing. Got a little bit of Virga action going on out there. But this is an area right down here where we'll begin to see, by the time some of you folks watch this video, it'll already begin to happen out here, but we'll start to see some freezing drizzle, freezing rain begin to unfold here along the Mississippi Delta region. This is a clipper right here, and really this entire storm system is going to be driven off two clippers. There is a low that's going to develop off the coast of the Northeast, but it's not going to have a huge player into this because it's too far off the coast. There's not going to be any phasing together of these two pieces of energy. So another big storm system entering the Pacific Northwest, but it's finally warmed up here in like the valley regions of Oregon, and finally you guys will begin to thaw out, but it will continue to rain. So the cleanup efforts are going to be very messy. It's going to be very rainy. Still a pretty cold rain, just not below freezing, so it's not a freezing rain. So this is what's going on across the country as far as watches, warnings, and advisories. You can tell what the clippers are sort of riding across the northern portion of the country because you see this somewhat narrow area of winter weather advisories here in the purple, but we do have winter storm warnings up in the northern Rockies. This winter weather advisory sort of kind of go down into the Midwest, includes areas like Memphis and Indianapolis. I mean, I'm surprised there's not any winter weather advisories in Detroit. I think that will change. Cleveland winter storm warnings between these clippers and a little bit of lake effect snow. Can't speak this morning. And then we have, you can see how they're meeting. I mean, based off just the advisories, energy down here, they sort of meet into here. And I think we will get more widespread winter weather advisories. And I do think there's areas like in New Jersey, Philadelphia, I think that you guys could get upgraded to winter storm warnings. We'll talk about why here in a second. I just don't think they have the confidence yet to do it yet. But in West Virginia, even counties, in other states surrounding West Virginia, they are confident enough to put winter storm warnings up just because of this event. These couple vents are going to move in, light, moderate snow, and then the northwest flow behind it. But almost the entire state of Tennessee have winter weather advisories now. Winter weather advisories all the way down to North Georgia, and all the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee into West Virginia have winter weather advisories right now. So a lot of the country, another round of wintry weather on the way. Storms won't be a big deal at all. We might have some thunderstorms down here in Miami, but outside of that, not a big deal with thunderstorms. Rainfall, there is a threat for flash flooding up here, but it's very low. I'm actually surprised it's not higher than this because of all the ice melts and stuff up here, but they are the experts, just a marginal risk of flash flooding, which means there's a 5% chance of it. So let's go on and break down this winter storm, and then we'll break down the rest of the country. But we're going to, kind of do this a little bit different and really give you an update on this winter storm first. So we'll start this. This is right around here in the next hour or so in this region. And, about the next hour, honestly. But as you can tell, it's around 6 a.m. out here, 7 a.m. There's a little bit of freezing rain here in the pink showing up. The pink is all freezing rain, folks. And then you start to get an 8, 9 a.m. You start to see more freezing rain kind of moving from the southwest. Now, at the same time, there is a warm nose. So, I heard that Little Rock, went from 19 degrees overnight to like 34 pretty dramatically, and that was because you had cloud cover move in. So you guys, might get lucky in Little Rock, might not get any freezing rain. You're not going to hardly get any precipitation in general. You got to move a little bit more east and northeast for that. But I do think Memphis will get a period of freezing rain later this morning. I think you're probably going to get a little bit of freezing rain in Tupelo, northern Mississippi in general, western Tennessee. Even like around Florence, Alabama, there will be a period of freezing rain that could last all the way into the afternoon hours. And then we start to get into late afternoon. Look at the freezing rain I think it's going to be a decent freezing rain event. Kind of a moderate, I don't think you would consider it an ice storm, but I do think you're going to get a solid glaze. It doesn't help that you still have all this kind of ice and snow still on the ground in most of these areas. So that doesn't help the situation at all. But this continues and this kind of moves off. By the time you get to about 9, 10 p.m., this entire viewing area starts to clear out, but you're left with another glaze of ice and then another shot of cold air behind this. So whatever does fall is going to refreeze tonight. You're going to continue to deal with that black ice situation, the melting and refreezing of stuff, and you're going to deal with this again. So that moves on out. And then we move into the Southern Alps region, the rest of Tennessee, Northern Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, Western Virginia. Here it is moving into your picture. I mean, look at Nashville. Freezing rain moves in, most likely later this morning. I think Huntsville could potentially get a little freezing rain from this. I think you'll get hit by this warm nose, though, and warm up above freezing. This is a solid period of freezing rain around 4 or 5 p.m., around the Nashville area, surrounding regions. I do think you'll hang on to more freezing rain in the Cumberland Plateau just because you're elevated in these regions. And, it's going to be a nasty event. This is getting into this evening. You're starting to get a wintry mix more so up here of like sleet and snow in eastern Kentucky. And you kind of keep this going, and it's going to be an icy mess even into I think the Tennessee Valley will get a good little glaze of freezing rain into this region, all the way up into the Tri-Cities region. And then you start to get into more cold air just in general at the surface and aloft. And, Lexington, Kentucky begins to snow. You're getting a icy mix down here in Bowling Green. I think, if you're tucked into the far southern sections of Kentucky, it'll stay mainly freezing rain or maybe some sleet. But up here in northern Kentucky, sort of northeast Kentucky, it's going to be, I think, a good front-end thumping of snow this evening. You guys still got snow on the ground, mainly in eastern sections of Kentucky. Certainly in Western Virginia and then West Virginia, you got snow on the ground. So it's going to be snow falling on top of more snow. A lot of these areas have not had a chance to thaw out. And then, we'll stop it right here. I think around the Tri-Cities regions and Tennessee, it's going to be an icy mess. It really is. And then I think we'll start to pick up, some heavy snow in Boone, Sugar Mountain, Beach Mountain region. I think you'll get a wintry mix down here in Asheville tonight. Waynesville, maybe down to Hendersonville. You folks will start to get a wintry mix. I wouldn't rule out, some sleet, maybe some wet snowflakes here in the triad of North Carolina overnight tonight. And then we start to move into well after midnight, and then, an all-out winter storm begins to unfold across western sections of Virginia, West Virginia. And guys, I think you're going to get maybe 1 inch per hour rates at some point probably tonight in areas of like eastern Kentucky, northeast Kentucky. And look at the snow in southern areas of Ohio. And then this continues to move on through. We're getting into tomorrow morning. Looks like we're getting an icy mix up here in the mountains of Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. And then we're going to get some back-end moisture behind this. And I think Nashville into the Cumberland Plateau sees kind of a wintry mix of snow, maybe some sleet. I think it'll be more so snow as another shot of cold air. And then it's so cold down here, folks. I think that anything that falls down here into the Cumberland Plateau is going to accumulate. So they're not really, I don't think it's being mentioned a ton, but I do think we're going to get some back-end action tomorrow morning into Kentucky, all the way down. I think you'll get a little action down here in northern Alabama again. It won't last long, and then this energy will kind of swoop into the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee and Virginia, and this will just add additional accumulations. If you want to see a winter wonderland, folks, I would go to the mountains this weekend. It's going to warm up next week, and we don't know when winter's going to come back, but that's what I would do. So these regions, ice, and I know I got Memphis over here left out, but, I really think that you guys are just going to get a couple 1/100ths of an inch of ice. But here's the ice totals in this region, and we'll kind of zoom into this region actually here in a second. And we're doing this a little bit backwards, but I will show you this anyways. But, the glaze right here of ice. But we'll show you more graphics in this region here in a second. And then here's the snow between, this is just between now and the next 24 hours. But, of course, you go a little bit further, shows heavier accumulations. But we'll show you a better graphic of this here in a second. We look into the Ohio Valley, the Midwest region. Two things going on. We got what we just discussed right here, the snow moving into northern Kentucky. This is getting into this evening. We'll get a period of light to moderate snow that moves into Chicago, adds in a few inches of snow. It's so cold up here, nothing's gonna have an issue accumulating. Look at the snow overspreading the entire northern half of Illinois tonight. We're getting to about midnight. Snow starts to overspread into Indianapolis, into northern Indiana, southern Michigan. Still snowing back here in Chicago and a good chunk of the state of Illinois. And then the snow begins to fall, and maybe Louisville, Dayton, Columbus. You folks start to see some snow well after midnight tonight. And then I think Cleveland sees into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning. Then you start to get this zigzaggy kind of lake effect snow band moving down Lake Michigan. This begins to impact areas of northwest sections of Indiana. And it turns into a doozy of a lake effect snow event for these folks. I think Chicago, the snow begins to move out probably tomorrow morning, but you'll still be dealing with a little bit of action for this lake effect snow band. I think we'll kind of drift a little bit into your area. But Cleveland, waking up tomorrow morning to a winter wonderland, the entire state of Ohio, southern sections of Michigan. I think you'll get accumulating snow here in Detroit. It's still snowing back in Indianapolis. And then I think this finally heads on out by the time you're into tomorrow evening. You're just kind of left with a little bit of lake effect snow. And, it'll be interesting to see if Lake Huron kind of brings some lake effect snow to Detroit. And there will be some lake enhanced snow in Cleveland from this tomorrow afternoon. And we'll continue just to deal with that epic lake effect snow band here in this region. But, we move ahead and we're just kind of breaking this down. And I think I've done this a little bit. No, I haven't. We're good. We look at accumulations from this, and this is what it's looking like. And for you folks down in Kentucky and Tennessee that I kind of moved through very fast, I'm going to have a zoomed in portion of this video of snowfall accumulations and ice. But this is a snowfall forecast for this region here in the Ohio Valley. And, a lot of snow up here in northwest and northern sections of Indiana. But, Chicago, good for 4 or 5 inches of snow. Indianapolis, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Between all the events here, between the lake effect and then the main two clipper systems, several inches of snow in Cleveland. Detroit, maybe 5 to 6 inches of snow. And then, you look at eastern Kentucky. And then I do think, eastern Ohio will get more snow than widespread snow than maybe western Ohio. But I do think northwest Ohio will get, a swath of 4 to 6 inches of snow, with it all being said and done in this region. Here in the mid-Atlantic, here it comes. Here comes the snow moving in. And, this is around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow morning, you got snow overspreading Pennsylvania, stripe of front-end snow moving through New Jersey, northern sections of Maryland. And then this is when it gets interesting. We take it all the way to about 8, 9 a.m. Friday morning. Look at this heavy snow down here, and D.C. points south. If this verifies, somebody could overachieve down here in the Delmarva region, the coastal regions of Maryland. Could get some snow that is very possible. And we kind of back it up a little bit. 3, 4 a.m., a little bit of a burst of snow, maybe down to Richmond. We'll see what happens. Snow flying around maybe in Roanoke to Charlottesville, kind of in the wee hours of the morning. And then we start to get into about midday tomorrow. I think it's still snowing for most of Maryland, except maybe extreme southern Maryland. The entire state of Pennsylvania seeing snow. Finger Lakes, southern tier of New York seeing snow. But this is when we can get an overachiever. D.C., it looks like you're getting, and Baltimore, it looks like you're getting moderate, maybe heavy snow. Delaware, same thing. New Jersey. Someone in New Jersey is going to get, I think someone in New Jersey is going to sneak in 6 to 8 inches of snow. Somebody. We'll see what happens. But, you stop it here, and let's go about 1 more hour. So this is around 1 p.m. Friday, tomorrow. It's a pretty moderate winter storm across New York City, Philadelphia. It's snowing pretty good in eastern PA. And then the heavy snow is just offshore here from southern New England. But it's snowing pretty good, especially for the southern shores of Long Island. And then you finally probably get a little bit of snow. Could get a little bit of ocean effect snow. We'll watch for that for eastern Mass. But as it's getting into Friday afternoon, a little bit of an inverted trough kind of action happens. And one last really heavy burst of snow is possible tomorrow evening for southern New Jersey, Delaware. And then we could get just some heavier bursts of snow that could drift through the Delmarva region, Maryland. And then this finally is heading on off. So how much snow between now and Sunday morning in this region? And we'll zoom into this region here in a second. But 4 to 5 inches of snow in general across southeastern sections of PA and New Jersey. But Philadelphia, they're calling for 4 to 6 inches of snow. But a few inches of snow in New York City, not much in Boston. But, pretty much the entire state of Pennsylvania is going to get snow. But I would say southeast PA and then western PA will be the two favored areas. The heart of PA, just a few inches of snow. DC going for about an inch. So let's zoom into these areas. Let's talk about Kentucky first. Louisville, about maybe nothing to about an inch. Lexington, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Frankfort, 1 to 2 inches of snow. All right, freeze the graphics if you need to. And then we look at the National Weather Service out of Jackson, Kentucky. Down here, I got a buddy who lives in Harlan. 1 to 2 inches of snow. Middlesboro, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Monticello, that was that area that hit 22 degrees below zero, I think yesterday morning. That's unreal. But this is what we're looking like in this region. Jackson, 2 to 3 inches of snow. Find your area. If it doesn't list your town, just kind of find the county in this region. We look at the National Weather Service out of Morristown. Yes, Morristown, almost said Morrisville. Gatlinburg, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Johnson City, even though it's not on this graphic, I think they're calling for about 1 to 2 inches of snow. So we'll see if that happens. Kind of an area right in here that did not get as much with the last winter storm. We'll see if you guys can sort of get thrown a bone here. Mountain City, 3 to 4. And this is this entire region. And then we look at the Greenville-Spartanburg area, 1 to 2 inches of snow in Burnsville. Newland, 3 to 4. Could get a dusting up to an inch of snow in the Waynesville-Asheville region. Not a whole lot in this area, whatsoever. And then the National Weather Service out of Blacksburg, Roanoke region. Just an inch or less in these areas. Lewisburg, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Bluefield, 4 to 6. Wytheville, one of these days I'll get it right. 1 to 2 inches of snow. National Weather Service in West Virginia. Parkersburg, 3 to 4. Charleston, 2 to 3. Big event in the higher elevations of West Virginia. Big event expected. Elkins, 8 to 12. Snowshoe, 6 to 8. So, definitely a bigger event down here. Beckley, 4 to 6 inches of snow. Into kind of southeast Ohio. Athens, 3 to 4. New Lexington, 4 to 6. So, yeah. And then out of the D.C. region. D.C., they've kind of bumped up the totals to 1 to 2 inches of snow. Baltimore, about 2 inches. Hagerstown, they've dropped it to 1 to 2 inches. Oakland, Maryland, 8 to 12. Big event. But they're not liking, a lot of accumulating snow down here in northern VA. But we'll see if that changes. Up here in Mount Holly, the New Jersey, eastern PA, Delaware region. 4 to 6 in Allentown. 4 to 6 now forecasted for Philadelphia. Biggest winter storm in a few years in this area if this is what's unfolding. I think if they're forecasting 6 inches of snow and the confidence increases in that, I think they'll issue a winter storm warning in these areas. Trenton, 4 to 6 inches of snow. Mount Pocono, 3 to 4 up here. And then we look into NYC, calling for about 3 inches. Newark, 3 inches. Long Island. Let me slow down. I think you're good for about 2 to 3 inches of snow. Maybe more, though. This is that tricky area, that jackpot region. So let's work ourselves back kind of west to east here, kind of way back here in the Midwest. And this is the area that I think someone could squeeze in maybe a foot and a half of snow from this lake effect snow band. I think they're calling for about 4 to 5 inches of snow in Chicago, so I do apologize for missing your area. But Fort Wayne, 3 to 4. Huntington, 3 to 4. South Bend, 5 to 8. LaPorte, 9 to 14 inches of snow. Seems like every state has a Monticello in it. So, but anyways, Defiance, 3 to 4. So, yep, that's that graphic. And then we go to Cleveland. They're calling for about 10 inches of snow in Cleveland. Between the lake effect, Lake Enhance, I would say, and then also just the Clipper system. But, this is going to be a pretty big event for Cleveland. Toledo, 4 to 6. Nice little event that they're increasing it to now. Erie, about 10 inches of snow. Andover, 6 to 10. Youngstown, 4 to 6. Canton, 4 to 6. Akron, 4 to 6. So, pretty nice event for this area. And then we get down to the kind of Cincinnati region. 1 to 2 inches of snow in Cincinnati. Dayton, 1 to 2. Columbus, about 3 inches. But once you get a little bit further north and east, it increases. And even in kind of east and southeast, it increases. But around the Cincinnati area, they're only going for about 1 to 2 inches of snow in this area. Pittsburgh, a pretty nice event. You guys did not get hardly anything last winter. You continue to get these light to moderate events. But, this is going to be a pretty solid moderate event for you guys, the standards, I would say. A 4 4 to 6 inch snowfall event for you folks. Morgantown 4 to 6, Davis 8 to 12. So find your area on the screen, and then we continue. And yeah, I don't know what's going on there. We'll have to, I guess, click this. But State College, 2 to 3 inches of snow. Harrisburg, 2 to 3 inches of snow. And you'll have to this is kind of the area of PA that might not see quite as much. So talking about the rest of the country, we're not going to talk about the winter weather anymore, but everybody else in the country, this will just be mainly rain in most of Alabama. Just some light rain showers in southern Mississippi getting into the panhandle. Just rain in Georgia for the most part, unless you're kind of way up in there in those higher elevations of Georgia. Just some rain showers later tonight in South Carolina and North Carolina. Would not rule out some snowflakes and sort of the northwest Piedmont and Triad of North Carolina whatsoever. And I do think we do have a chance tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, for a little bit of snow, even in sort of central and south and southeastern sections of Virginia. We'll watch for that. And then I think we'll be greeted to some thunderstorms potentially here in Florida as we're waking up tomorrow morning. The Northeast, that lake effect snow band will continue around Buffalo and kind of just pivot back and forth. A little bit of light snow is possible with this first event. Could make its way through Pennsylvania, throughout New York State, maybe kind of drift throughout the southern New England region. Could be some light snow around. And then, already this evening, it wants to throw in kind of a band of light snow around the New York City, Long Island region. We'll see if that happens, and then our next big event moves in that we just broke down. The South Central U.S., it's quiet, guys. There's not really nothing to speak on besides this Clipper system bringing some snow into northern Missouri kind of this evening into the overnight hours of the night. Maybe a little snow into sections of St. Louis in the middle of the night tonight. Could put a dusting on elevated surfaces, and it's very cold, so it'll put a dusting on everything, really. The north central U.S., there's that aggressive Clipper system that kind of dives down to South Dakota this morning. Makes it all the way down to the Omaha region, all the way down to Des Moines, Ames. It looks like it misses Minneapolis for the most part. But southern Minnesota will get some snow. It pretty much goes over the entire state of Iowa, and this will bring that snow to maybe some light snow into Milwaukee. Lake effect snow bands will kind of continue off Lake Michigan, and you guys will get additional accumulations from that. But as far as how much snow is expected, several inches of more snow expected off the southern shores of Lake Superior. I think I just called Lake Superior Lake Michigan just a second ago. But anyways, several more inches of snow. You guys continue to get a feed of Arctic air directly from the north to the south, so you get these bands that are pivoting in that same kind of directional flow. But you see the swath of basically 1 to 3.5 inches of snow right in this area right here. But we move out west, another big system moving in, as you can tell. A lot of rain. You can tell there's no pink down here in the valleys of these ice storm hitting areas that were really hit twice over the last several days. This is just rain. So this is going to make it pretty nasty for any cleanup efforts. But higher elevation snow, this is a much warmer system. But man, this is a big slug of moisture into this area. But look at this ice. They're showing later tonight in these regions. So, you might get a little bit of an ice storm in these areas too. But as far as rainfall between now and the next 24 hours, this is just precipitation, a good bit of it. 2 to 3 inches of liquid precipitation. But if you can kind of combine that with the snow, you guys are going to get hit pretty good just between now and the next 24 hours up here in the Cascades, Olympic Mountains, several inches of snow. But freezing rain, folks. You're going to get a solid another glaze. They're even calling for freezing rain even with some of this heavy Cascade snow up here too. But another glaze is possible out here. But, you could be getting a little bit of a glaze of ice. You still could be hanging around the freezing mark around here in the valleys of Oregon. But I definitely think you'll warm up big time today. But, man, it's warming up in Texas, folks. You're thawing out. It's feeling pretty good. Widespread 60s throughout Texas. It's even a decent day across the southeast. But hanging on to those freezing temperatures for dear life across the Tennessee Valley and just the Ohio River Valley, and it's pretty chilly. You're locked into below freezing temperatures up here in the northeast and the northern sections of the country. And then those very warm temperatures across, western Texas, 60s, 70s. That's going to feel fantastic. But then here comes that other shot of Arctic air. But this isn't going to really dive deep into Texas as much. It'll cool you down. But this is really positioned more so northwest to southeast. Not too bad out west at all. You're warming up in these ice-stricken regions. So That's all I got, guys. I don't know how I did that in under really 25 minutes, but here we are. So God bless all y'all. Y'all stay safe out there from the wintry mess about to move in again. Yeah, you guys have a fantastic day. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to you this evening.